You walked up on this property. This was a consensual conversation. I've asked you to leave several times. Now you're walking through my yard, taking pictures of my items. You can do that from somewhere other than this property.
This guy and his girlfriend are having a yard sale, but then the cops show up and accuse them of being shoplifters because they saw multiple numbers of different items laid out for sale. Despite being asked multiple times to leave, the police officers refuse to leave.
I've asked you to leave. I would like for you to leave.
And they stand there on the porch to harass and intimidate and to scare away potential purchasers from looking at the yard sale.
This is harassment. I've asked you to leave, and now you're impeding me from being able to sell the items. There's a man with a gun on my porch. Am I detained?
You are.
I'm detained for what reason?
For investigation.
I've not committed a crime. I know I've not committed a crime.
That's what everybody that commits a crime says.
Can a police officer just stand there on your porch and demand that you answer his questions if he does not have a warrant?
I'm just asking simple questions, but you refuse to answer my question.
If she coupons, she should have, most couponers keep pretty good records. I mean, does she have receipts?
What about if it's your girlfriend's house and she's not there? All police officers, especially supervisors, should know the answers to those questions, and you should also.
You have a supervisor coming.
I've already advised you. I am the supervisor.
The level of ignorance here is astounding. I don't think I've ever done this before, but I actually emailed this sheriff's department and asked them if there was any additional context to this that they could provide. What have I heard back so far? Crickets. Welcome back to the Civil Rights Lawyer channel, where my mission is to help protect and defend your constitutional rights, both through legal education and also showing you all of the crazy things that your government does to people just like you. So if you share in that mission, please subscribe, like, comment, and share this footage so that maybe it doesn't happen again. This video brings us to Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's Warren County, Kentucky. And it involves the Warren County Sheriff's Office and also the Bowling Green Police Department. But primarily, this involves a patrol supervisor named Sergeant Mark Hines. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Sounds like Hines, but it's spelled this way on his card. The video begins with him on the front porch of this private residence where there is a yard sale going on in the front yard. The video was submitted to me by the guy who filmed it. His name is Anthony. The home belongs to his girlfriend, but this is where he's staying. And his girlfriend had just left to go to the bank, and she's coming right back. In the meantime, the cops show up and they start looking at the stuff in the front yard, and they find the items suspicious. Anthony's girlfriend is a couponer. She will resell those items at her yard sales and also will give them out to needy members of the neighborhood. This police officer walks up and immediately begins asking questions and making accusations about shoplifting.
So what's your name and badge number?
My name is Sergeant Hines with Warren County Sheriff's Office, 415.
Thank you. I'm now recording this interaction because this was a consensual conversation where you walked upon me and decided that because I won't give you my ID, that you're going to say that the result of couponing is now shoplifting. I've asked you to leave. I said I do not want to continue this consensual conversation. You refused. Said I don't get to dictate when you leave. And that's fine.
You didn't actually ask me.
Yes, I did. I asked to end this conversation. I am asking you to leave. I wanted to end this conversation. Okay, well, I've given you the information I have. Unless you can speak to the items out there in the grass, I don't know what else you can do to investigate. I've explained that my girlfriend coupons to you. I've explained that this is the result of that. I don't know what else that you want. She shops all over. No answer I give you is gonna make you think, oh, what I thought when I walked up is not the case, because you predetermined the notion of what you were going to come upon when you saw this yard sale.
Determine anything. That's why we investigate.
But you have no reasonable articulable suspicion that shoplifting occurred ever.
I've already provided that reasonable, articulable.
Which is what?
Multiples and...
So it's illegal to own multiples of items and then sell those items. So the people who are at the flea market who have multiples of items and are selling items should all be put under suspicion for committing shoplifting.
I just came here to have a simple conversation.
And I told you my name's Tony.
Your
I told
obstruction of that is...
There's no obstruction. Obstruction is a physical act. I'm not obstructing you. I do not have to help in your investigation. That is not my job. That is your job. You're required to do your investigation. I'm not required to say anything to you under the Fifth Amendment. You have a supervisor coming?
I've already advised you. I am the supervisor.
Okay, I wanted your supervisor. Isn't that your policy to try to contact your supervisor?
No.
Okay. Do you have a card?
I believe I have one.
Can I have one? Yeah, please. So that when I file a complaint with your department, I know exactly who I'm filing it on. This is harassment. I've asked you to leave. I've asked you to leave. I would like for you to leave. You have no reason to be here. I've explained to you how we have come upon these items.
I was asked to be here, so I do have a reason to be here.
Okay, you can investigate somewhere else.
No.
There's nothing else for you to investigate here.
This is where it's occurring. This is
Okay, I understand that, but I've asked you to leave. You have no right to be here. I don't want to give you a hard time, but you're coming up here on baseless accusations.
You started with giving me a hard time. That's where we started.
No, I didn't. I just told you I wasn't going to give you my ID because I don't have to. Is that not true? Are we a stop and ID state? And now you're impeding me from being able to sell the items because people aren't going to stop when there's a sheriff standing on the porch.
Why would they not stop?
Because it looks like there's something intimidating or scary going on here. There's a man with a gun on my porch, standing over top of me.
Because I go to stores and people don't leave the store.
People aren't going to be deterred from a store. They're going to think that I'm some type of criminal when there's no criminal act going on here.
Well, I don't believe that.
You have no reasonable articulable suspicion. Having multiples of an item is not a crime. Selling multiples of an item is not a crime. You have nothing to suggest that any of this was stolen. Do you have me on video walking out of a store with all of these items without paying?
Potentially.
You don't. I can guarantee you 1,000% you don't.
Okay. What about your girlfriend?
I can guarantee 1,000% that she is not on camera stealing anything ever in her life. And the fact that you continue to sit here and act like this is ridiculous. You're trying to be quiet now that I have you on camera, but I want you to understand that I would like for you to leave. You have no reason to be here. I've asked you to end this consensual conversation and you refuse on no basis. I'm going to FOIA request that. Name and badge number, sir?
Alex Bigford, 486.
Thank you. Do you have a card?
Yep.
I'm just watching.
I've asked you to leave several times. Now you're walking through my yard taking pictures of my items. You can do that from somewhere other than this property. This makes no sense. You walked up on this property. This was a consensual conversation. You're trying to say selling multiples of items is somehow shoplifting. It is not. My girlfriend coupons, I explained that to you. You're continuing to push this because of some ego trip that you have because I wouldn't give you my ID. So are you going to come back and apologize when you find out you're wrong? Are you? Will you come back and apologize if you find out with what you're doing right now is completely wrong?
I don't know what we're doing.
I understand that. I asked for his supervisor. I know, I want his supervisor because what he's doing is completely baseless. He has no right to just walk up and assume that all this is shoplifting.
I'm Officer Williams, badge is 171.
And your name, ma'am?
Officer Bryant.
And badge number?
155.
Okay, and do you have cards?
Yep.
Can I have one, please?
Sure.
I'd like to know who I'm complaining on whenever I go to the police department. All right, that's great. Thank you. I don't have an issue with y'all doing your job, but now I think it's going a little too far. There's 4 officers with a man sitting down in a chair.
So she's on return to duty, so we're considered one because I'm training her.
Okay, I understand that, but there are 4 people with weapons standing in front of me, correct? Okay. For what?
We're investigating a
okay,
crime. You
okay.
were requested to assist with an officer that was
okay,
conducting
but my
an
question is, what reasonable articulable suspicion do you have that these items were stolen?
I don't know. It's not my case. I was requested to assist another agency, so that's what we're here doing.
So nobody can give me any answers on why you reasonably believe these items are stolen.
Like I said, this is the first time I've met you. I don't know all the details.
I've explained to him that my girlfriend coupons, and that we come by these lawfully.
Okay.
She does this for a living, for the purpose of selling these. We have these sales years and years and years in a row, and not once has anybody ever come up to us and suspected us. We've had cops stop and shop here. We've had no issues. I just don't understand how somehow this is now a crime.
I don't know. I was just asking simple questions, and you immediately...
No, but I don't want to give you my ID because there's no crime. There's no crime being committed.
Well, then we call that a clue.
You call it what you want. It's me exercising my rights. I don't have to ID. We're not a stop and ID state.
I'm just asking simple questions, but you refuse to answer my question.
I told you that she coupons. That wasn't sufficient for you because you believe that the stuff is stolen. So there's no way for me to convince you that it's not.
Not the way you've been speaking to me, no.
Well,
if she coupons, she should have. Most couponers keep pretty good records. I mean, does she have receipts for all
I'm
this?
sure she has tons of receipts, either in her purse or in the house.
I say because you said there's no way to prove it.
She does Ibotta. She does Ibotta. She does the other little thing that gives you stuff for your receipts. Yes.
It would be a very simple request for me to walk up and ask to see the receipts. Would you be willing to do that?
You could ask that.
Would you be willing?
But unless you can prove that there was a crime committed, there would be no reason for me to have to. Now, she may voluntarily do it when she gets back.
She's on her way, though.
I don't know where she's at. But I don't have to give you my ID just because you asked for it. That's not how the law works. If maybe you had asked, what was going on, and then when I told you, you stopped and waited in your car, and you come back over here and you waited to speak to her when she arrived, then maybe this wouldn't have escalated to where it's at. But she's not.
How would I know that from across the street?
When the car pulls in the driveway, you would see.
Well, how would I know who's selling it? I don't know. That's why we investigate.
You don't know, and you don't know that there's a crime. I really would like for you all to leave.
Well, that's what investigation is for. I've not accused you of anything.
Yes, you have. You said the items are potentially stolen with no basis. None whatsoever.
I don't know. That's why we investigate.
Do you have a video of anybody stealing from any store with any of these items that looks like me?
I don't know yet.
This is unreasonable.
I think it's completely reasonable.
I'm unreasonable. So I'm just going to assume I'm detained. Am I detained?
You are.
I'm detained for what reason?
For investigation.
No. Reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime.
Suspicion of shoplifting.
Okay, and what evidence do you have to suspect me of shoplifting?
Your yard.
My yard. I have stuff from my yard for a yard sale, guys. You know yard sales are illegal now? That is absolutely insane. It's things like this that make bad relations between people and police officers. You were not. You just immediately accused us of stealing.
I did not.
You did.
I didn't.
You did.
I asked you simple questions.
I gave you answers. You weren't happy with those answers.
You didn't answer all my questions.
Told you where the stuff come from. Told you my first name.
Where anything came from.
It came from stores where they were purchased with coupons.
That's not an answer.
It is an answer. There's multiple stores throughout this city. There's multiple locations people can purchase items. These were purchased from all kinds of different stores.
Like where?
Like anywhere from Kroger to Walmart to Dollar General to Family Dollar to CVS to Walgreens. Anywhere that offers coupons that you can get digitally and that you can use manufacturer coupons on. It's how couponing works. You find things on sale, you use the coupons, you get them for even cheaper. I mean, you're getting them for a price where it's almost a steal, but it's not stealing.
Sure.
I don't understand why you're still here trying to perpetuate the idea that this is
You told
somehow
me I
theft.
should speak with your girlfriend, so now
No,
we
I said that you could have. Now I've asked you to leave. I mean, this is unlawful detention.
You told me this is not your home.
This is an unlawful detention.
You told me this is not your home.
This is an unlawful detention.
Did you tell me?
This is an unlawful detention. I have 4 people with guns detaining me for no reason. I don't appreciate it.
Most people don't.
Yeah, especially when there's no right and no reason. You just ask everybody for receipts. You just walk up on everybody and ask them for receipts to their items. When they walk out of a store, you say, hey, do you have a receipt for that, or did you just steal that? It's ridiculous. I know y'all have better things to do than to harass somebody who has done nothing illegal. And you have no reason to believe they've done anything illegal. You're violating my rights by unlawfully detaining me. If you continue to violate my rights without reasonable or articulable suspicion of a crime, you will be subject to any litigation that comes afterwards.
So your girlfriend, she coupons?
Yes.
Is she here? Or is she...
I've already explained to the sheriff she is not here. She went to the bank to get change.
Okay, cool.
You guys have already run off several potential people that were going to stop. You're impeding on my ability to sell any of these items. This is completely unlawful. You can't provide one shred of evidence that there's anything to even suspect us of.
It's called reasonable suspicion.
But it's not. You can't articulate how it's a crime to have multiple things in your
I
yard.
didn't say that was
Okay, it's not a crime then, so you don't have reasonable suspicion. You don't have a video. You don't have a video. You don't have any evidence, anybody saying my name, that I shoplifted, nothing matching my description coming out of a store. Okay, I told you that my name is Tony. I go by Tony. My name's Antonio.
A lot of Tonys in this world. That doesn't help me at all.
My name is Antonio.
Okay.
That's as far as I want to give you. I don't have to ID myself to you.
Okay.
I've not committed a crime. I know I've not committed a crime.
That's what everybody that commits a crime says. So that doesn't really help my investigation.
Okay. You just remember what you're saying and how you're acting. I'll smile for you. Is that what you want?
Been nothing but cordial.
I'll give you a thumbs up and smile for you. I've not committed a crime. I don't have any issue with you all taking pictures of me. I'm glad that you all don't have any issue with me recording you all, because it is my First Amendment right to do so.
I never said a word about it.
I know, and I appreciate that. Thank you for not getting upset about that. Some people do. It's unreasonable.
You're right. When it first started, it was different, so people got upset about it.
Well, now people have been more educated and people understand the law more.
Sure.
So how long are you legally allowed to keep me detained? Because it's not infinite.
You're right. But it's long enough to conduct the investigation.
Okay, well, you're not investigating anything. You've taken your pictures. You've investigated. How have you come to a conclusion by taking the pictures you took?
You told me the best person to talk to would be your girlfriend.
Correct. And I also said that you could go back across the street to your vehicle and we could end this unlawful detainment, and you can end this consensual conversation, which is what it was from the start, and you could wait for her. Now she's pulling up and you can speak to her, and then after you speak to her and she gives you the same answer that I gave you,
Sure.
is that going to satisfy you?
Maybe. We'll see what she says. I don't like to make a snappy decision.
Right on, but come on. Over here and say, let me know.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
Not besides, I would like to know that little lady's name that recorded me, so she can be banned from my cell.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't release that type of stuff because we don't want that kind of drama or people angry with each other or anything like that. So,
Well, it's false reporting. That's a...
well, it's a suspicion. I think it's fair.
I mean, after 6 years of being here, police stop and shop here that patrol this neighborhood. The ice cream truck stops and shops here.
Yeah.
It's like everybody stops to shop here. For 6 years, every summer I have
Thank you.
sale. Nobody has ever said anything to me. It just makes me mad that somebody would call and report, and that you'd have to have this many people out here and scared. Like for the last hour, this yard would have been full of customers. Now all these customers have missed this yard because some lady wants to.
To be fair, I was just trying to ask some simple questions, but I couldn't get a simple answer. So it just made it more complicated. It extended the time that we were here because we couldn't get a clear answer.
I told you where the stuff came from. You weren't happy with me telling you that it was from couponing, though. It's the same answer she gave you, except for now you saw the coupons in her window.
Right. Yeah, a little bit of evidence goes a long way.
I mean, you immediately walked on me. I can't go anywhere. I was detained from the moment you walked up.
Because I don't know who you are.
Right, so I can't give you any evidence. I can't show you anything. I can't do anything to help
You
further.
absolutely could have.
I couldn't.
But you refused to. And when you refuse to identify, the courts have held that is legal to.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay, that's all we got. I appreciate you.
Is there an incident number?
No.
All right, first off, what is the biggest problem, the major problem with what these officers are doing here? Where is this sergeant located? He is standing on the front porch of this home. He has been walking around the front yard of this home, taking pictures of these items that he believes are stolen, and standing on the front porch of the home, basically forcibly questioning this individual about where these items came from, what his name is, about his girlfriend, and so on. It can't be disputed that he is within the curtilage of this home. A front porch of a home is always within the curtilage, and almost always any fenced-in yard is going to be within the curtilage of a home. Now, what is the curtilage? That's where the Supreme Court said the area around the home that is so closely associated with our home that it gets the same Fourth Amendment protections as the inside of our home. And that means that if the police are going to intrude into that area, the front porch, the front yard next to the front porch, that's just like going inside your house. And what do they need if they're going to go inside your house and search for evidence? They need a warrant. This is a pretty easy one. There was a U.S. Supreme Court case in 2018, Collins versus Virginia, holding that the police could not even enter the curtilage of a home to search a vehicle that was parked in the driveway within the curtilage of that home without a warrant, even if they had probable cause. Kentucky is within the 6th Federal Circuit. There's a 6th Circuit case also from 2018 that is exactly on point and binding here. Morgan versus Fairfield County, police violate the Fourth Amendment when they physically intrude into a home's curtilage, which is the area immediately surrounding and associated with the home, to search for evidence without a warrant, even where they have reasonable suspicion. So here the police officer keeps saying that he has reasonable suspicion, which he doesn't. He has a hunch, which literally is not reasonable suspicion. That's what they are not allowed to have. But even if he had reasonable suspicion, or even probable cause according to the Supreme Court, it would still violate the Fourth Amendment if he does not have a warrant. Constitutional Law 101. The fact that he's standing on the front porch doesn't matter. Still considered the same as inside the home, a warrant is still needed. And the fact that he's walking through the front yard, literally seizing evidence in the form of pictures of these items he believes are stolen, well, that is literally a search under federal constitutional law. He is searching and seizing evidence in a space that is considered to be inside the house without a warrant and clearly without the consent of the residents of that home. And on that point, does it matter that the guy that they're conversing with doesn't own the home, or perhaps doesn't even usually permanently reside there? No, that does not matter either. All the way back in 1990, the U.S. Supreme Court held in Minnesota versus Olson that overnight guests have a reasonable expectation of privacy at the home that they are visiting, and they therefore are afforded full Fourth Amendment protections in regards to that home during the times that they are visiting. That means that even though Tony was just a house guest, when he objected to the presence of the police officers when he asked them to leave, they had to leave and could only come back with a warrant. Even though he didn't own the home, even though he wasn't necessarily a permanent resident of the home, he was entrusted with possession of that house by the resident of the home, his girlfriend. In my opinion, that is sufficient knowledge given to the police officers to know that they had to leave and come back with a warrant. So what ended up happening here? Nothing. These people were doing nothing wrong. There were no criminal charges. They just had to deal with their constitutional rights being violated. But fortunately, it was filmed, and Tony actually did a pretty good job of asserting his constitutional rights, and he certainly knew a lot more than this career law enforcement officer who demonstrated that he is just completely ignorant when it comes to constitutional law. Or perhaps he just doesn't care because he knows that there's no accountability. He's going to do what he wants. But perhaps some of you that live in Bowling Green might have something to say about that to your politicians because they work for you. They don't think that they do, but sometimes you need to remind them. Let me know what you think in a comment, and I'll let you know if I hear any update on this. And if any lawyers are interested in getting involved in this, I can put you in touch with the individuals in the video. Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.